Saint Augustine, Commentary on the Gospel of John, chapter 20, following. The Holy Spirit, therefore, is aptly represented by the septenary number. The prophet Isaiah likewise says, "The Spirit of God shall rest on him," and thereafter calls our attention to that Spirit in his septenary work or grace by saying, "The Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and piety, and he shall be filled with the Spirit of the fear of God." Isaiah chapter 11, verse 2 and 3. And what of the revelation? Are they not there called the seven spirits of God? Revelation chapter 3, verse 1. Why, there is only one and the same Spirit, dividing to everyone severely as he will. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 11. But the septenary operation of the one Spirit was so called by the Spirit himself, whose own presence in the writer led to their being spoken of as the seven spirits. Accordingly, when to the number of 10 representing the law, we add the Holy Spirit as represented by 7, we have 17. And when this number is used for the adding together of every several number, it contains from 1 up to itself, the sum counts to 153. For if you add 2 to 1, you have 3, of course. If to these you add 3 and 4, the whole makes 10. And then if you add all the numbers that follow up to 17, the whole amounts to the foresaid number, that is, if to 10 which you had reached by adding all together from 1 to 4, you add 5, you have 15. To these add 6, and the result is 21. Then add 7, and you have 28. To this add 8 and 9 and 10, and you get 55. To this add 11 and 12 and 13, and you have 91. And to this again add 14, 15, and 16, and it comes to 136. And then add to this the remaining number of which we have been speaking, namely 17, and it will make up the number of fishers. But it is not on that account merely 153 saints that are meant as hereafter to rise from the dead unto life eternal, but thousands of saints who have shared in the grace of the Spirit, by which grace harmony is established with the law of God as with an adversary, so that through the life-giving Spirit the letter no longer kills. But what is commanded by the letter is fulfilled by the help of the Spirit, and if there is any deficiency, it is pardoned. All therefore who are sharers in such grace are symbolized by this number, that is, are symbolically represented. This number has, besides 3 times over, the number of 50 and 3 in addition, with reference to the mystery of the Trinity, while again the number of 50 is made up by multiplying 7 by 7, with the addition of 1, for 7 times 7 make 49. And the 1 is added to show that there is one who is expressed by 7 on account of his sevenfold operation, and we know that it was on the 58th day that our Lord's Ascension that the Holy Spirit was sent, from whom the disciples were commanded to wait according to the promise. Acts chapter 1 verse 4 and chapter 2 verse 2 to 4. It was not then without a purpose that these fishers were described as so many in number and so large in size, that is both 153 and large. For so it is written, and he drew the net to land full of great fishes, 153. For when the Lord said, I am not come to destroy the law, but to fulfill, because about to give the Spirit through whom the law might be fulfilled, and to add thereby as it were 7 to 10, after interposing a few other words, he proceeded, Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. The latter therefore may possibly belong to the number of great fishers. But he that is the least, who undoes indeed what he teaches in word, may be in such a church as is signified by that first chapter of fishers, which contains both good and bad, for it also is called the kingdom of heaven, as he says, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea, and gathered of every kind. Matthew chapter 13, verse 47. Where he wishes the good as well as the bad to be understood, and of whom he declares that they are yet to be separated on the shore, to wit, at the end of the world. And lastly, to show that those least ones are reprobates, who teach by word of mouth the good, which they undo by their evil lives, and that they will not be even the least, as it were, in the life that is eternal, but will have no place there at all, after saying, He shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. He immediately added, For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 to 20. Such, doubtless, these scribes and Pharisees are those who sit in Moses' seat, and of whom he says, Do you what they say, but do not what they do, for they say and do not. Matthew chapter 23, verse 2 and 3. They teach in sermons what they undo by their morals. It therefore follows that he who is least in the kingdom of heaven, as the church now exists, shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven, as the church shall be hereafter, for by teaching what he himself is in the habit of breaking, he can have no place in the company of those who do what they teach, and therefore will not be in the number of great fishers, seeing it is he who shall do and teach that shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. And because he will be great here, therefore shall he be there, where he that is least shall not be. Yea, so great will they certainly be there, that he who is less there is greater than the greatest here. Matthew chapter 11, verse 11. And yet those who are great here, that is, who do the good that they teach in that kingdom of heaven, into which the net gathers good and bad, shall be greater still in that eternal state of the heavenly kingdom, those I mean who are indicated by the fishers here as belonging to the right hand and to the resurrection of life. We have still to discourse, as God shall grant us ability, on the meal that the Lord took with those 7 disciples, and on the words he spoke after the meal, as well as on the close of the Gospel itself. But these are topics that can be included in the present lecture.